Being a founder is a roller coaster. It is what it is. It's not just you. Sometimes you just get lost into a lot of small things and big things that you want to do. And when you see you are so busy doing a lot of things that are not really connected to each other.
Making decisions like yours means leaving the comfort zone.
It's scary, as you mentioned, leaving the whole stability of a job.
What actually was your feeling when you say to you, okay, you know what, I'm going to do this?
I remember the day that I decided to quit my full-time job. I didn't tell my husband, I didn't tell anyone. I just called my mom. I can lose anything, but I really don't want to lose my house. That was the feeling of what can I let it go and what I can't, and where is my red button.
In your journey to become a founder, what are the struggles that you have been going through at the very beginning?
It's really rare that you have some long periods that everything goes completely smooth. Every day you have struggles, but I had some really big ones in my career. Everything was doing fine until Brazil went to a big corruption scheme called Lava Jato. Maybe you heard about that. It was a nightmare. We had to move really fast to see how we were going to adapt.
The point is, when you start, you must continue. Never give up. What's your dream? What's your greatest wish?
Trying to help people believe that they can do whatever they want to. My motivation is actually building the space for people to thrive, and this is what makes me an entrepreneur.
Hi, Ludmila. Thank you so much for coming to the Life of Founders. This is our second episode, day number 2. And I'm very happy having you with us today as our guest. And why we do the Life of a Founders. In EquityMatch, as many, we are very focused on the business, but we miss the big thing, which is the founders behind the business. So we really want now to give the founders the opportunity to tell us actually where they are going through the up and down, all the main problems of difficulties and pleasure, and whatever comes inside their life when you are running the business from scratch. So again, thank you so much for coming. And let me start with why. I mean, how do you become a founder?
Amazing. Thank you so much, Max, for having me here. And I think it's really interesting to share my experience as an entrepreneur and to other people that are thinking about going to this journey or maybe are on this journey and feel a bit lonely doing this. So I love to chat about this. Is probably one of my favorite topics to talk about is the life of being a founder. So as you asked me the why, just a bit introduction about me. I'm Brazilian. I live in the UK for 5 years now. I have 17 years of experience in HR, coaching, behavioral sciences, and I worked in a construction company for many years before starting my first company. So Woody is actually my third venture. I had businesses in Brazil for the past 15, 15 years. And I became a founder in my first business more or less by accident, I would say. I used to work on a construction company. I'm an architect as background. And there was an opportunity to start developing a new technology in Brazil that was called BIM, Building Information Modeling. It was something that was happening in the engineering architecture space many years ago. And so this technology was developed, but was not really being delivered properly in the whole world, and especially in Latin America. So we had the opportunity to start developing a company, a prop tech, to be able to do this. So with a partner, two partners, we had the idea of delivering services and technology to enterprises and to architecture practice. And I started as a sider in the business. I still hold my job, my full time job, when we started the business. But at some point, the business was really needing someone to be there and work with the project management and the finances and put my co-founders. They were very technical, or very aligned to sales, and I had this hat on the business that the business was really needing. And then I decided to quit my full time job and just dive in deep into my first. It was in 2011, and it was the big jump of just quitting everything and saying, "Hey, I'm going to become entrepreneur full time."
I do believe that this is comes to it came to me as well. I remember when I started my first company, and I was extremely well paid, very well paid. So as soon as after the university, I was already earning what in UK they call rich people, and I was very young. But it's something that you have inside. So although I was having decent money, when I came to the board, I say I'm going to leave you guys because I want to do something on my own. Actually, I'm going to compete with you. They were shocked. Are you crazy? You're making so much money. You're young. So I don't mind. I mean, I don't feel I'm in the right place, right? And I feel I can do much more. And I'm 40. I feel I'm working for you. So whatever I do, it doesn't bring me anything more. So I quit, and I can understand. The point is making decisions like yours means leaving the comfort zone, knowing that every month you get paid, you pay the bills, and you move on. So that's why many founders, their credit score goes below zero. I was talking with a guy in Slush. They told me I could even now I can buy a yacht before I could even buy a smartphone because my credit was totally zero, below any possible way. I understand because I've been there. So and I'm happy that I've been there. So I really understand your point. This is where comes your motivation, right? So what is your motivation? What really motivates you to have done this big step and now run your business in UK as well?
So I think I did architecture because I really like to build things and put things together. So I think I'm really good on creating structures for things to happen. So having an idea and is putting this together and the execution to make this. So I really, really enjoy the part of building a business is a lot on the creativity, but becoming something that is real. It's not just about an idea, but actually to put things together to become a proper that a product or a service that will change people's life. So my first company was this prop tech, but I always felt a little. I always missed a lot of my HR hat that was helping people to develop themselves. So I started my second company when I was still leading my first one. That was a coaching company that we developed, we patented, and we grew the methodology through franchising. And I think my motivation is actually building the space for people to thrive. And this is what makes me an entrepreneur. I really like to build teams that thrive and do the best that they can to provide the services or the products that we have available. So this is what happened with my prop tech. This is why I started my second company. And in the end, this is the whole motivation for Uji. How can we really empower people in scale to become better professionals and they can thrive and deliver the best they have inside. So I think my whole motivation is actually about helping people to believe in themselves and being the better version that they can be.
I mean, I remember my feelings. It was very strong when I decided to start. And after it was an absolutely nightmare in terms how many challenges I've been going through. It was a day, night and day. What actually was your feeling? Where you say to you, okay, you know what, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, it was. It's scary as you mentioned. leaving the whole stability of a job, especially the financial stability that you have an income, and then you just pay your bills, and then you see this growing and moving on. I remember the day that I decided to quit my job and my full time job. I didn't uh, tell my founders. I didn't tell my husband. I didn't tell anyone. I just called my mom and said, "Hey, mom, if I cannot pay my mortgage, can you please help me with that for a couple of months? Because I can lose anything, but I really don't want to lose my house. This is a big deal." So I remember that was the only call that I did, and then I went there and said, "Okay, that's it." I had them cover at least to pay my mortgage for a couple of months, and then we can figure out what to do. And I think what that was the feeling of what can I let it go, and what I can't, and where is my red button, like when is the time to come back. In the end, I never came back. They never had to pay my mortgage. I was more prepared to that than I actually or realized it or I wanted to believe. But I think that feeling of, okay, this is what is calling me, and I fear about the instability, but this I really believe that this is going to happen. It's not let's try, and that if not work, I'm going back. So it was like a whole owing, and then I jumped at the cliff.
Anytime I mentor founders, I always tell them before deciding, please sit down and think all the pros and cons. There are so many cons because pros are not be the next Elon Musk or Steve Jobs. There are so many difficulties behind, and you must be ready to go because if you move and after you move back and give up, you just wasted time. One thing is failing, and I really wish to everyone at the very beginning to fail, so they really sounds crazy, but it helped me so much. uh, of course, if you fail when you are too old in terms of entrepreneurial journey, it can be very hurtful, but very harmful. But failing helps a lot. The point is, when you start, you must continue. Never give up. Fail one, two, three. That's fine, but do not give up. Never. Now, in your journey to become a founder, what are the struggles that you have been going through at the very beginning, that where life was changing completely?
Oh gosh, I think being a founder is a roller coaster. I think every day you have to be prepared for the punches that you're going to take. Like, it's really rare that you have some long periods that everything goes completely smooth, because if there is something wrong, or you're not growing, or you're not doing anything. So it's always about this. I think every day you have struggles, but we have. I had some really big ones in my career, and one of them I keep bringing this because it's so this company that I had, this prop tech, we grew very organically. We became really stable in the markets that we worked. And we worked with the majority of the construction companies, the big construction companies in Brazil. So we had really big contracts, and we had a big team. And the projects that we were working, they were pretty much you do a lot of work, and after some time you receive like a an amount of money, and then you have to work again. So the cash flow was a big problem to administrate. And everything was doing fine until Brazil went to a big corruption scheme called Lava Jato. Maybe you heard
No,
about that in Brazil.
very well.
It was uh, 2014, if I'm not wrong. And imagine that the majority, or probably 90% of our clients, they were involved somehow in the whole situation. Because although we didn't work with anything in infrastructure, and we did a lot of low what they call retail or commercial or residential. All these big construction companies, they have their arms on light construction, and they have the infrastructure. Once the infrastructure business went being investigated. Some of them had problems, some of them didn't. Everything else in the construction industry just froze. It was a nightmare. Like, imagine you have a team, you have a lot of people to pay. All the contracts they suddenly stopped, and we had to move really fast to see how we were going to adapt, because this was something that it was the whole industry. It was not just us. So we had to pivot our capabilities very quickly to start working on a different market. So we saw that what we were doing, we could pivot to retail, and then we got our first big customer in retail, and we had to pivot the capabilities of our team to work with this. We had to pivot our way of selling, our prices, everything. And in the end, it was actually a really good thing, because at some point we start to have a more diversified portfolio, and the company still exists today, and big part of what they do is in different areas, not only what we did at that point. But that was a big shock. Like, how can you deal with a big or economic downturn that we passed, or this kind of stuff that it's really hard. So I think being an entrepreneur, you have to be very creative, but you also sometimes have to be uh, aware that it is what it is. It's not just you are on an environment that sometimes just collapse, like we are having now. It's not the easiest time to have a business, and the mission is to survive to that times, and then everything is going to be okay. At some point you have to adapt and survive, because many people are going to die, many businesses are going to die in this moment. So I think every time that we had a struggle in my previous business, or even at OG, this is the mantra. Like, okay, what is the next thing that we need to do to guarantee that we survive, and then we start growing again, or we start to put things back in time again. Just don't freak out, otherwise you just drown.
The point is, when you start up, there are two different ways to start up. Having enough cash given by yourself, by your friend and family, or by very early investors, where you have a buffer that allows you to have 6 12 months runaway. And you can experiment a lot because you're not running out of cash. You go short to pay employees. When you are fully bootstrapped, as many guys try, and you pay with revenue, maybe revenue can be very much up and down. So you go short on cash. Like, this is where many founders, as I did in the first place when I did my first startup, is you don't know how to actually manage the cash flow. You believe that when you invoice, you get the money in your account. That's working this way. Maybe invoice today, you get the money in 6 months, or maybe you need even a lawyer to get the money. So that's a big problem. That's why I always say to our founders, keep at least 3 6 months cash flow. Don't touch. That's the way you're going to save your business if one day it goes wrong. Now you are married, so I don't want to go into your marriage, of course not, but it changed the life to be a founder. So how does it combine with your private life? Without talking, of course, anything about pride, I'm just saying if affects badly or actually in a good way.
Yeah, perfect. I think this is also a really interesting question. I am a married, and I'm also a mom, so it's a lot of different ways, and being a founder at some points gives the flexibility to be that is different from a full-time job as a mom, but sometimes makes things more complex, because you are always worried, and you never just shut down the computer and say, okay, that's fine. So there is this aspect of being a founder and a mom at the same time, can be tricky. But with my husband, I think we had a really open discussion about this, and I think this is a really fundamental, because when you decide to take the risk, you are not taking the risk only for you, you are taking the risk of for the whole family. So as our life is just one, and our income is just one, when you decide to be a founder, and then I keep saying that he is who affords our lifestyle today, and I'm going to afford our lifestyle in the future. So I'm the retirement plan. If we are going to retire on a estate or in a camper van, we are not sure yet. But I think this is the way that we see life. Like we are both betting on this, and this doesn't mean that just because I make more or less money now, or how much we have to invest on the business or anything, it's something that is just me. So I think we always had this very clear. Like one is the risk taker and one is the bread winner, and this really works for us because otherwise just become too much. And I think people that have both founders, both as founders in a family, I really admire that, because I think then it's a lot of risk and it's a lot of uncertainty to be in,
Yeah, but
and it's a
also I see many founders, the business breaking the private life completely, destroying everything, and that's the reality. You can't escape the reality. But I mean, but I'm very happy you found your balance, and balance helps a lot. If you're happy inside, you can be more productive outside.
yeah.
What's your typical day-to-day routine looks like?
So as I said, being a mom, basically the school run is kind of guides a lot. So and my husband travels quite a lot, so usually when he's here we can mix and match the school runs, but when we can't, I start my day doing all the chores in the morning, giving taking my daughter to school, and then I start usually to work between 9:30 and so, and then I go until time for the school run again at more or less 4:30, and then sometimes I come back and I do something, or I have a call, or it is basically that. Sometimes I'm in London. I live in Oxford now, so, and the business is based in part in London, part in Oxford. So our team is quite spread. So yesterday I was in London, so it was harder to get back home early to do this. So I have my partner. But I think the most important thing that I learned, it's not only about how much you work. Sometimes I run and I want to practice, and I go for a run during the day if my diary allows. I think the most tricky part of being a founder is because you don't have a boss. You don't have anyone kind of saying the priorities to you. You don't have no one like a board, so you don't have like a board of directors saying, oh, okay, now this month we are going to focus on these or on that. So being a founder, sometimes you just get lost into a lot of small things and big things that you want to do. And when you see you are so busy doing a lot of things that are not really connected to each other. So what I try to do a lot to guarantee my sanity is, what is the next small step that we have to do with the business in order to progress, and then focus on that, and being very clear with the type of activities I have to do, apart from the whole meetings and everything that just full our calendar. Otherwise, it's really, really easy to just become swamped on your own thoughts, ideas, and everything you think that you have to do in the same day. And sometimes it's not true. You're just going around and around a lot of different ideas.
I do believe you need rules. I mean, when you decide to establish a business, you give it to methods, rules, and discipline. If you don't have method, rules, and discipline, you can go down the road very easily. And as I said to all the founders, I use a very strong statement, but I do believe you must prepare to live a very miserable life. Have your friends go on holiday, even if you have the money, you can go because you must set up something. The first 2 3 years, up to five, are very, very, very challenging. Whatever, any amount of money you have, the startups belongs to you. So like a baby, you can leave a baby 12 months, you can leave a baby even 5 years time. And it's pretty much the same. So startup is the same. It's a 24/7 full-time engagement, not only business and job. And but again, you are driven by passion. Any founders, especially the one who succeed, they are big dreamers, but also they live with an absolutely passion. So, what do you enjoy the most in what you're doing today?
So I enjoy a lot this idea of building blocks together and have the flexibility to test something, and then if this is working, let's move on, let's keep, or otherwise let's move on and test a lot of hypotheses. I really like this creative side of the early stages of the business. I also enjoy a lot seeing people that started with us growing by themselves and then start taking their own decisions and then growing this. I think this is, it's kind of a legacy that you can have helping people with their career. So I really I feel very proud for people that I formed before in my other businesses and how we are forming this team. So I think this is like giving people the opportunity, and then suddenly they're just taking this and making an amazing job much better than you would do. So this is something that I really, really enjoy. And just coming back to your point before, I one thing that I didn't mention, I have a co-founder in my business, and this is for me another aspect of being a founder. I think it's so lonely to be a founder. It can be so dragging, and in all my business, I had a better experience, worse experience of having co-founders, but I was really lucky to have really good ones, and that makes this become something much not easier, but nicer and enjoyable to have. So I really, everyone that I speak say, oh, I want to start a business. Say, start trying to find someone that you are really willing to work with. Doesn't matter if you are building a digital product or if you are selling hot dogs, but someone that you really enjoy the presence and like become someone, because you don't have a much more a team or a boss or someone to give you feedback can be quite draining and lonely. And then when you have this
Yeah.
person that you enjoy being part of the daily life and you admire, this becomes a big thing. So what I really enjoy also is working with my co-founder. We have really nice conversations and ideas, and sometimes we struggle together, and then sometimes we want to give up of everything, but next day everything's it's all right again. So I think this relationship is also crucial to move a business forward.
I've been reading few books about CEO and founders. What is very underpinning everything is be solo, solitude. I mean, CEO are very left alone. You can even say, okay, today I'm weak. Today, although you are, today I'm tired. Or today I'm depressed, or because just you had so many people relying on you. And they rely on yourself, and they can see you. And see if you go down, they just go down. So you just can't. So you are very solo. You are absolutely left to yourself many times. So if you have a co-founder you can talk to and rely on, of course, helps a lot. Indeed. So you started from scratch, and today you already have done already a good job. And how does the life change when the startup comes growing?
I think it's when you start having clients and then you start to have a different, it's less about this creative idea of we can build anything, let's just brainstorm and then start creating. So you start to have process in places, and you have to, your team has to be more structured to have their own tasks and what they are responsible for. Because before, even if you had a lot of responsibilities, it was more how people contribute with their own knowledge. And when
Yeah.
the business starts to grow, you need them to start owning some work streams, and then you have to put in place, okay, you are onboarding a new client, who is the one that is going to send the invoice, but it's the same one that is going to onboard the team, is the same one that is going to talk if there is a problem. So you start to have all those processes going, but you still need to be very creative because the business is not settled yet, especially on this startup environment. You start having process, but there is quite a lot of innovation that still needs to happen. And I think the balance between spending your time on business and also spending your time focusing on what's the next thing that you need to build, it's quite tricky. And then you have fundraising, and then you have all the accounting stuff, and then all the that starts to
Well,
become more and more and more complex, and this starts to drain your energy for this type of business. And then all the creativity that you had in the first couple of like the first months or year of the startup uh, start to reduce, and this is when you stagnate with the business. So I think the balance, getting the balance right there, it's quite a tricky thing.
I mean, the point is when you're founder of a startup, you must follow some rules. That's true. But the beauty of startups is creativity, right? That's why I don't believe startup can never be created inside corporations because they are trapped in their rules where creativity is completely killed by revenue and profit and KPIs internally. So, but again, you need to balance. It's very overwhelming. This is why many founders they burn out. They just say one day, you know, it's just too much. I'm not sleeping. I'm not eating. I have problems everywhere. And maybe I got two investors, three venture capitalists. They ask me to have 30% in growth month to month, which is pretty much possible but very difficult. This is why burnout. Now, my no question, but I might ask, do you think about failure and how do you prepare yourself to not let yourself down, to not go to burnout and just give up?
Yeah, I think this is it's also a really good one. I think I was talking about this this week with someone. 9 in 10 startups are going to fail, right? So in this early days. But when you start something, you always think that you are going to be the one to succeed, not the nine, because it's like playing the lottery. You're not going to play the lottery if you think that you are not the one that is going to win. It's just uh, there don't make, doesn't make sense for you to buy a ticket in the lottery if you think that you are not going to be in the odds of winning. I think starting a business is basically the same thing. You always bet that you are going to be the one that is going to make this happen. I think failure, it's less aligned to what the business achieve and more aligned to what you have done with the time that you were in the business. There are different type of business. My previous business, they grew quite organically. They were not like digital products that scaled in a very exponential, but they were very stable business that we made money. So is this a failure not scaling? No, because we made money. There are business that scale really fast, but maybe you don't make enough money because you need
Yeah.
so much investment to plug into that actually in the end the investors leave without anything, even if you do a million ARR and you still lose money. So I think a lot of what you think about success and failure is about why are you working every day, and are you doing the best job that you can do for that business. And at some point sometimes it's just better for you to leave the business because you are not the right person or the right to drive this thing forward. And this is not a failure, it's just a recognition that maybe this is not happening because I'm not the most qualified person. It's really tricky because you never want this to happen. And I think as a founder you are going to be as resilient as possible to guarantee that you succeed on that. So what I keep thinking is that we are going to do everything that it's on our hands to guarantee that this is going to happen, and then we are going to honor the money that our investors putting, the clients that are believing in the early days of our business, the users that are using our product. So if you wake up every day and say, how can I make a better product, how can I guarantee that I'm spending the money of my investor in the most accurate ways, is this what I would do with my own money? So if this thing doesn't turn out to be a big thing, it's the odds that is 9 for 1. But I'm pretty sure that we did the best, and every decision that we took was the right one. and so far we are making progress. So I think at least we are not in the nines anymore. Maybe in the odds are diminishing with time. So this is the thing.
I really agree. I mean, I think about failure every day, but that's normal. Although you must take away this from your mind. The point is the approach to failure, in my opinion, especially when you are not European, you come from Brazil, and after we can spend a couple of minutes on that. But the concept of failure, this is come from the structure of the economy. In Europe, it's very bad. Not because you have fun that you fail. Of course, if you fail, you're not happy. But I do believe failure, unless you don't learn anything, it's a very good thing that sometimes in life is fine to happen. But if you fail, if you go to the bank, you're out for at least 3 5 years. And that's all Europe, UK included. And this is very bad. If you fail in the US, you go to the bank, they tell you why. You're a very good guy. You are absolutely great because you take the risk that must be taken to make money one day. So this day you lost 1 million, we're gonna give you another 1 million, and maybe you give back us 2 millions. That's Americans. Here, that's a completely different story. So the environment is not helping entrepreneurs at all in Europe. And this is what we must change. I don't know how things are in Brazil, although I have so many friends there. But in Europe, failure comes also not because you are scared, but because you know what's going to happen after. So you can even go to any telephone provider have your phone because they won't give you unless you pay all in full. Now, you must have a private life. At least one kid. You have your husband. Again, without going any detail, but how do you spend your time outside, working, night and day on your bench?
So just on the point on Brazil and how this work, I think we are even in Brazil. It's even worse than Europe. So I find quite founder friendly Europe compared to Brazil. To be honest, US is completely another game. So it's another league, and I think everyone should be inspired by how failure can be accepted there. But I think in Brazil you kind of expect that is it's so hard to be a founder. The access to money there, it's so hard, and the interest rate we had at some point to get money in the bank for my previous business, and the interest rate was 3.5% per month. So imagine how is to deal.
Yes.
It- it's just crazy. It's just like it's just absolutely crazy, and you have to uh, to have a completely different mindset to administrate the business and the whole uh, complexity of taxes and everything. It's nuts. But and I understand that if you fail a business in Brazil, the whole thing goes to your personal life and to your name. So I think this type of idea of failure is the worst nightmare, and I still feel this a lot. So makes all the decisions be more. I think you are more risk averse when you take the decisions in this environment compared to the US. So here, when you bring someone to the team, you really make sure that you can make everything, because if you have to cut the contract with this person, it's completely different from the US, that you just say, hey guy, thank you for coming, but tomorrow I don't need you. And I think here is more it's like Brazil, that is it's not that easy. So if you have to let someone go, it's a big thing. So I think failure on this perspective is, I think, is pretty similar, and I worry about how to guarantee that the business can go forward without really risking myself, the investors, or everybody else in the business. And this adds a lot of complexity. But just on how I spend my life, I spend a lot of time with my family. I am really attached with doing things with my daughter. I really enjoy watching cartoons and drawing and doing this kind of stuff. So I do this because I really like, not only because I she likes. but I'm also a runner. I run last year. I ran the London Marathon. Was my first full marathon.
How many
I did
kilometers?
last year.
40? It's
Sorry,
40 kilometers. How many
yeah,
kilometers are the
42,
London Marathon? 40. Wow,
42. Yeah,
that's a
26
long way
miles.
to
Yeah,
run.
yeah. It's a long. So it's and I think it's very cliche, but I think it's very similar to the founder's life. It's all about one step after another and after another, and it's always a mental game. So it's about endurance, and it's very cliche saying that running it's that having a business is a marathon, not a sprint. Is not going to happen. If you go faster, it's not going to change a lot because you're going to break at any point. You're going to hit the wall. So I think there is a lot of similarities on that that helps my mind to be stronger. But I really enjoy the idea of being with myself and running. I like to run in the woodlands and stuff. Uh, Being in the countryside, this helps. So this is basically my main thing, doing and going out for a run and having my time with myself.
I mean, I do sport as well, and it keeps me calm. It gives me a lot of, I don't know, how can I say? When I walk into the gym, I'm very stressed. When I work out, I'm not. It's not that all the stress went away, but I'm for sure better. That it comes you, it gives you some kind of, I don't know, it keeps you away from all the noise around you, all the thinking and so on. So everyone, anyone has a different way to escape from the routine and find some time with yourself, and which just helps the business as well, not only your life. Refresh your mind, you can restart again. You are an expat coming from Brazil to UK, totally different way, totally different country, absolutely different mentality. So we go from Latin to pretty cold environment like UK. So how do you find yourself in United Kingdom as a founder? Uh, it's okay for you, or do you find any very strong opposition?
Yeah, I think it's never easy to join a completely different culture. I think there is a lot on the cultural side, and that you just learn with time. So I took me 2 years after I moved to the UK to start my business. One of the reasons was exactly I wanted to understand better the environment and how to do business here. So I think there is a lot on the cultural that affect uh, the trust. It's there is a lot of psychology that how you just connect with people that somehow have the same heritage of yours. So it's much easier for you to connect, and that's why expect create these little bubbles of Brazilians, Spanish, Italians, because you just trust more instantly with people that you have something related to. So this happened with me quite a lot once we moved, and we moved to London straight away. Then when I moved to Oxford, I think this started to break, and then we started to feel more part of the community. And now the majority of my friends here, they are from all over the world, but a lot of British people. And one thing that really helped me, I started my executive MBA in Oxford, was part of this idea of creating my own network in the country. I think it's really weird because when you move, everything that you have done make more or less stay in the past, because people don't recognize the same brands, the same clients, the same schools that you went, or the same you cannot understand the same pop culture. Sometimes people do a joke and you cannot laugh from the joke because you don't know the celebrity, so I
Right.
think all of that uh, takes a while until you feel comfortable and confident in conversations. It's not because people are colder or because people are not. I never felt, to be honest, I never felt bad in this country. I was always very welcomed by everyone that I spoke to, but takes a while until you really feel part of something and be on a barbecue and understand what's going on. So I think now I'm starting to get into that situation, and this affects business. Of course, it's not the same doing business with people that you just connect straight away, and with people that you are just trying to get into. So it takes a
That's the
while, but what works.
That's the beauty of doing business. That's the beauty of startup, and the beauty of London, Oxford, Cambridge, and of course UK as a whole. A very welcome country to expats, wherever they come from, is the variety of the people that surround you. And I'm a big fan of mixing cultures and minds. Helps make people smarter, even more productive. Uh, but again, it's not easy. It's not easy even to understand. I mean, I've been living in London for almost for 10 years. I don't understand, still not understanding the English humor. Maybe because I don't know, it's not for me. I have no idea. But they're fine. They're okay. But anyway, I come from Italy, where that's a completely different way. Uh, Let me. But that's the beauty. We're all different. That's why I'm still living in UK. UK is it's very high level of accepting everyone, whoever you are. Be yourself and keep going. Uh, Now we are unfortunately close to the end of our conversation, which is I very much enjoyed. And let me ask you, what's your dream? What's your greatest wish? What comes to your mind? We say, okay, this is my greatest wish that I really would like to achieve, or this is my greatest dream.
I think, of course, is seeing the company grow and becoming a household name. But I think for me personally, it's to really really thrive when someone send me a text or come and say, hey, you really helped me, and now I'm doing this, and because of that conversation or that thing that we did. So I think a big part of me is trying to help people believe that they can do whatever they want to. So my dream is to see Uji becoming something that can do this in scale. So I can't wait to start listening from people that, hey, I listened to this audio pill where I did this task and this really helped me in scale. So I know that it's not just me helping, but it's a system that is empowering people. So my dream is to start getting more and more of those messages and see this happen. I think I will be really happy, and I will leave some legacy to my daughter saying, hey, we can impact people's life if we really believe that we work hard and do this. So I think this is my dream.
You must believe. Whatever you do in life, you must believe. And if you can give a very good impact, I said to everyone, impact can be good or bad. We must give the good one. If you can give a very good impact to the life of the people, oh, why not? Actually, we all must contributing somehow. Ludmila, thank you so much for coming to the life of a founder, sharing your life, your dreams, and whatever comes behind being an entrepreneur, be a founder. And again, thank you so much. I really wish you all the best, and maybe we can have a talk later on.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Maxa. Thank you.